The headlights behind me turned off the moment I pulled over. I was still in the middle of the mountains, and I hadn't passed another car in over an hour. I sat there in the dark, engine running, heat blasting against the frozen windshield, watching my rear-view mirror. Nothing but black. No headlights, no taillights, no movement at all. Just the wind pushing snow across the empty road behind me. But I knew they were still there. I could feel it. That pressure you get when someone's watching you, when you're not as alone as you should be. I waited. 1 minute, then 2. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, and it wasn't from the cold. Then, slowly, I pulled back onto the highway, and those headlights came back on. Same distance, same pace. Like they'd never stopped at all. They followed me for the next 40 miles, and I still don't know who they were. This happened 2 winters ago in January on Route 50 through Nevada. If you've never driven Route 50, it's called the loneliest road in America for a reason. It cuts straight through the center of the state, through high desert and mountain passes, and there are stretches where you won't see another person for 100 miles. No gas stations, no houses, no cell service, just empty road and silence. I was driving from Reno to Ely for work. It's about a 5-hour drive, and I'd done it dozens of times, but always during the day. This was the first time I'd done it at night, in the middle of winter, and I didn't realize how different it would feel. The first 2 hours were fine. Light snow, decent visibility, a few other cars on the road. I had the radio on, a podcast playing, coffee in the cup holder. Just another drive. But once I got past Fallon and started climbing toward Austin Summit, everything changed. The snow got heavier, the road got narrower. The podcast lost signal and cut to static, so I turned it off. And somewhere around mile marker 180, I realized I hadn't seen another car in almost 45 minutes. I was completely alone out there. Or at least, I thought I was. That's when I first noticed the headlights. They appeared in my rear-view mirror without warning. 1 second, there was nothing behind me but darkness and swirling snow. The next, there were 2 white lights, maybe a quarter-mile back, keeping steady pace. I didn't think much of it at first. If anything, I was relieved. Another driver meant I wasn't the only person crazy enough to be out here. And in bad weather, it's common for cars to follow each other. You use the taillights ahead of you as a guide. I'd done it myself plenty of times. But something about these headlights felt different. They weren't gaining on me, weren't falling back, just maintaining that exact distance, like they were tethered to my car by an invisible rope. I slowed down for a curve, dropping from 50 to maybe 35. The headlights slowed down too. Same speed, same gap. I sped up on the straightaway, pushing it to 60. So did they. I told myself I was being paranoid. It was late. I was tired. The snow was playing tricks on my eyes. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. So I decided to test it. There was a small turnout coming up, just a wide patch of gravel on the side of the road. I'd passed dozens of them on previous trips. Rangers used them. Truckers used them. I figured I'd pull off, let the car behind me pass, see what kind of vehicle it was, and that would be the end of it. I'd feel stupid and I'd have a funny story to tell when I got to Ely. I put on my turn signal, slowed down, pulled off onto the gravel. And the headlights behind me turned off. Just like that. Gone. I sat there in the dark, engine idling, heat blowing against the windshield, staring into my rearview mirror. Nothing. Just snow and darkness, and the faint outline of the road disappearing into black. I couldn't see the car, couldn't hear an engine, couldn't see any movement at all. But they hadn't passed me. I would have seen them. The road was straight for at least a half mile in both directions. There was nowhere to turn off, nowhere to hide. They were still out there, somewhere, in the dark, with their lights off, watching me. I sat there for maybe 3 minutes, afraid to move, afraid to stay. My phone showed no signal. Of course it didn't. I was in the middle of the Nevada mountains at 2 in the morning during a snowstorm. I was completely on my own, Finally, I told myself I was being ridiculous. Maybe they had pulled off too, somewhere behind me. Maybe their headlights had just burned out. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. I put my car in drive and pulled back onto the road. And the headlights came back on. Same distance, same pace. Like nothing had happened. My heart started pounding so hard, I could feel it in my throat. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I sped up. They kept pace. I slowed to a crawl. So did they. I tried it 3 more times. Same result every time. No matter how fast or slow I drove, they stayed exactly the same distance behind me. Never closer, never farther. Just there, following. I thought about stopping again, getting out of the car, walking back there to confront whoever it was. But something told me that was exactly what they wanted. So I just drove. For the next 40 miles, through the worst of the storm, over Austin Summit and down into the valley beyond, those headlights stayed behind me. I watched them in my mirror until my eyes burned. I kept waiting for them to do something. Speed up, flash their lights, pull alongside me. They never did. They just followed. When I finally reached the outskirts of Eureka, I saw the lights of a gas station ahead. It was closed, the pumps dark, but the parking lot was lit by a single overhead lamp. I pulled in, swung my car around so I was facing the road, and stopped. Then I watched. The road behind me was empty. No car, no headlights, no tire tracks in the fresh snow. Just white pavement stretching back into the darkness. I sat there until the sun came up. I didn't sleep. I didn't turn off the engine. I just watched the road and waited for something that never came. When it was finally light enough to see, I drove the rest of the way to Ely. I asked around when I got there. Asked if anyone else had been driving that route last night. Asked if anyone had seen anything strange. No one had. I made some calls later that week. Checked with the highway patrol, the county sheriff. There were no other vehicles reported on that stretch of Route 50 that night. No breakdowns, no accidents, no one else. Just me, and whoever was behind me. I still don't know who they were. I don't know what they wanted. I don't know where they went when I reached that gas station or how they disappeared without leaving a single track in the snow. I don't drive Route 50 at night anymore. I don't think I ever will again. I grew up in Colorado in a small town about an hour west of Denver, tucked into one of the valleys on the far side of the mountains. To get there from the city, you have to take I-70 through the Eisenhower Tunnel, then exit onto a series of back roads that wind through the forest and along the river. During the day, it's one of the most beautiful drives in the state. Pine trees and snow-capped peaks and clear blue sky. At night in winter, it's something else entirely. This was 3 years ago, Christmas Eve. I was 24, living in Denver, working retail. My shift ran late, and by the time I clocked out, it was almost 10. I thought about just staying in the city, finding a hotel, driving home in the morning. But it was Christmas. My parents were expecting me, and I'd driven that road hundreds of times. So I got in my car and headed west. The interstate was fine, plowed, salted, plenty of other cars, heading to the mountains for the holiday. But once I got off the highway and onto the back roads, everything changed. The snow was fresh and deep. No plows had been through, no other cars anywhere. Just me, my headlights, and the white road disappearing into the trees ahead. The last 10 miles to my parents' house are on a road called County Road 12. It's narrow, winding, completely unlit. In the summer, with dry pavement and daylight, it takes about 15 minutes. That night, in the snow, it took almost an hour. I was crawling along at maybe 20 miles an hour, trying to stay in the center of the road, when I came around a bend and saw the truck. It was parked sideways across the road, completely blocking both lanes. An old pickup, dark-colored, rust around the wheel wells, no lights on, no hazards flashing, just sitting there in the snow like it had been dropped from the sky. I stopped about 50 feet back and waited. My first thought was that someone had slid off the road, lost control on the curve, spun out, ended up stuck. It happens all the time on these mountain roads. But the truck wasn't in a ditch, wasn't damaged, wasn't at an angle. It was parked, deliberately, perfectly perpendicular to the road, blocking any way through. I flashed my high beams a couple times, hoping to get the driver's attention. Nothing happened. The truck just sat there, dark and silent. I honked my horn once, twice, 3 times. Still nothing. I waited another minute, watching for movement, any sign of life. The snow was falling harder now, starting to accumulate on my windshield between wiper passes. The engine hummed. The heater blew warm air against my face, and the truck just sat there. I picked up my phone to call my dad. No signal. Of course not. I was in a dead zone, 10 miles from the nearest house, alone on a road no one else was driving. I thought about getting out, walking up to the truck, knocking on the window, asking if they needed help. But something stopped me. The truck wasn't disabled. If it had slid off the road, why was it parked so perfectly? If the driver was hurt, why weren't they signaling for help? And why would anyone be out here on this road on Christmas Eve at 11 at night in a snowstorm? I sat there for what felt like forever, trying to decide what to do. I couldn't go around. There were ditches on both sides of the road, hidden under the snow. If I tried to squeeze past, I'd end up stuck. I couldn't turn around. The road was too narrow, and I'd slide into the trees if I attempted a 3-point turn. My only options were forward or back, and forward was blocked. I was just about to put my car in reverse when I saw it. Movement in the truck's cab. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. I could see their silhouette through the rear window, backlit by the faint glow of my headlights reflecting off the snow. They weren't moving, weren't getting out, just sitting there, perfectly still, facing forward. And I realized they were watching me in their rearview mirror. My whole body went cold. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Me in my car, engine running, hands frozen on the wheel. Them in their truck, sitting in the dark, watching. The snow kept falling. The wind pushed through the trees. And neither of us moved. Then, slowly, the truck's engine started. No headlights, no brake lights. Just the low rumble of the motor coming to life. And it began to move. It pulled forward just a few feet, just enough to open a gap on the right side, just enough for my car to squeeze through if I was careful. But the driver still didn't turn on their lights, didn't wave me through, didn't acknowledge me at all. They just sat there, engine idling, waiting. Every instinct I had screamed at me not to do it, not to drive past that truck, not to put myself within arm's reach of whoever was inside. But I didn't have a choice. I crept forward, angling toward the gap. My passenger side mirror nearly scraped the truck's tailgate. I could see the driver's side door in my peripheral vision just a few feet away, close enough to touch, close enough for them to reach out and grab my door handle if they wanted to. I held my breath, kept my eyes forward, and pressed the gas. The moment I cleared the truck, I floored it. My tires spun on the snow, caught, and I shot forward into the darkness. I didn't look back, didn't slow down, just drove as fast as I could toward my parents' house. I was maybe a mile down the road when I finally checked my rearview mirror. The truck's headlights were on now, and it was following me. I could see it coming around the bend, moving fast, much faster than it should have been on that snow-covered road. The headlights bounced and swayed as it gained on me. I pushed my car harder, taking the curves too fast, feeling the back end slide on every turn. The truck stayed with me, closer now, maybe 50 feet back, then 40, then 30. I could see my parents' driveway ahead, the familiar mailbox, the porch light they'd left on for me. I didn't slow down. I took the turn at full speed, slid across the gravel, and skidded to a stop in front of the garage. I was out of the car and running for the front door before my engine even stopped. My dad met me in the hallway, confused, asking what was wrong. I told him to look outside, told him someone had followed me, told him about the truck. He grabbed a flashlight and went out to check. The road was empty. No truck, no headlights, no sound of an engine. Just snow falling in the dark. We stood there for a while, watching, waiting. Nothing came. The next morning, Christmas Day, my dad and I drove back down County Road 12 to see if we could find any sign of what had happened. The spot where the truck had been parked was easy to find. You could see my tire tracks where I'd squeezed past. You could see the ruts where the truck had been sitting. But the truck's tracks didn't go anywhere. They led to the spot where it had been parked. And they stopped. Right there, in the middle of the road. No tracks leading away, no tracks following me, nothing. Like the truck had just vanished. I still live in Colorado. I still visit my parents on holidays. But I don't take County Road 12 at night anymore. And I never stop for vehicles blocking the road. This last story is the one that still keeps me awake sometimes. It happened to me personally last February. And I've gone over it in my head 1,000 times since then, trying to find an explanation. I still don't have one. I was driving through the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, heading back to DC after visiting a friend in Roanoke. It was a Sunday night, late, maybe 11 o'clock. I'd taken the Blue Ridge Parkway instead of the interstate because I thought it would be faster. That was a mistake. The fog rolled in about 20 minutes after I got on the parkway. 1 minute the road was clear, stars visible overhead, mountains dark shapes against the sky. The next minute everything was white, just a wall of dense, cold fog that seemed to swallow my car whole. I slowed down immediately. The parkway has no streetlights, no guardrails in most places, and the drop-offs can be hundreds of feet. In clear weather, it's a beautiful drive. In fog like this, it's deadly. I couldn't see more than 20 feet ahead. My high beams were useless. They just reflected off the fog and made everything worse, so I switched to low beams and crawled along at maybe 15 miles per hour. The fog seemed to muffle everything. No sounds from outside, no wind, no animals, just the hum of my engine and the slow rhythm of my wipers, pushing condensation off the windshield. I'd been driving like that for maybe 10 minutes when I saw her. A woman standing on the right side of the road, just at the edge of my headlights. I slowed down even more, almost stopping, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with dark hair that hung past her shoulders. She was wearing a thin coat, dark-colored, completely wrong for the weather. No hat, no gloves, no car anywhere nearby. Just standing there, in the fog, in the middle of nowhere, at 11 o'clock at night, and she was looking right at me. Not waving, not flagging me down, not moving at all. Just standing there, perfectly still, watching my car approach. I came to a near stop, trying to decide what to do. Maybe she'd broken down somewhere nearby, maybe she needed help. Maybe she was lost, but something about the way she was standing stopped me from rolling down my window. Something about her expression. It was blank, calm, like she'd been expecting me. I drove past her slowly, keeping my eyes on the road, watching her in my peripheral vision. She turned her head to follow my car, but she didn't move, didn't wave, didn't call out. Just watched me pass. I told myself it was fine. She was probably fine. Maybe she lived nearby. Maybe someone was coming to pick her up. I kept driving. About 30 seconds later, I saw her again. She was standing on the side of the road, maybe a quarter mile from where I'd first seen her. Same woman, same coat, same dark hair, same blank expression, same position, watching me approach. I felt the hair rise on the back of my neck. I drove past her again, faster this time. She turned to watch me go, just like before. My hands were starting to shake. I told myself it was impossible. I told myself I must have been mistaken. The fog was thick. Maybe it was a different woman. Maybe there were two of them. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Then I saw her a third time. Same spot relative to my car, same posture, same stare, and this time I could see her face more clearly as I passed. She was smiling, just slightly, just enough to notice. I pressed the gas harder, pushing my speed up, even though I couldn't see the road ahead. I didn't care. I just wanted to get away from her. A minute passed, then two. I started to think it was over. Then she appeared again. Fourth time now. Same distance ahead of me. Same position on the side of the road. Same smile, like she was waiting for me. Like she knew exactly where I'd be. I was going 40 now, way too fast for the conditions. The fog rushed past my windows in thick white streams. I could barely see the road, but I didn't slow down. Fifth time. There she was, closer to the road now, her smile wider. Sixth time, standing almost in my lane. I had to swerve to avoid her. And then the seventh time, she wasn't on the side of the road at all. She was standing in the middle of it. I slammed on my brakes. The car skidded, tires screaming against the wet pavement, and I felt the back end start to slide. For one terrible second, I thought I was going to spin off the road, over the edge, into the dark. But I stopped, maybe 10 feet from where she was standing. And she was still smiling. I sat there, hands shaking, heart pounding, staring at her through the windshield. The fog swirled around her like she was standing in a cloud. Her hair hung perfectly still, even though there should have been wind. And her eyes, I couldn't see them clearly, but I could feel them, looking at me, into me. She didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, smiling, waiting. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Seconds, minutes. It felt like hours. Then she tilted her head, just slightly, like she was curious, like she was studying me. And she took a step forward. I don't remember what happened next. I don't remember driving away. I don't remember anything until I was pulling into a rest stop near Waynesboro, 30 miles away, shaking so badly I could barely put the car in park. I sat there until dawn. I didn't sleep. I couldn't close my eyes without seeing her face. That smile. When it was finally light, I drove back the way I'd come. I don't know why. I had to see. Had to know if any of it had been real. The fog was gone. The road was empty. Clear sky, bright sun, beautiful mountain views in every direction. There was no sign anyone had ever been there. I've thought about that night constantly since it happened. I've researched the area, looked up local legends, accidents, disappearances, anything that might explain what I saw. I found nothing. I've tried to convince myself it was fatigue, that I was tired, that the fog was playing tricks on me, that I hallucinated the whole thing. But I know what I saw. I know how real it felt. And I know that smile. I don't drive the Blue Ridge Parkway anymore. Not at night, not in fog, not ever. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone on the highway and I see something in the distance, I still feel that cold twist in my stomach. Still feel the urge to check my rearview mirror, just to make sure she's not there, standing in the road behind me, smiling.